It's crazy. I just had my morning meditation, my morning prayer, and today's message was powerful. It was having to do with the ability to think and get rich, but also the opposite, think and grow broke when you think negative. And but there's a season for both. That's the crazy part. When you're in a negative situation and you think negative, that's not smart. But when you're in a positive situation and you just stay positive all the time, that's also not smart. So it's about the seasons and understanding why you have to prepare when things are going well, not to focus all your energy on the negativity, but just because of experience. It's like, look, man, put 20% of whatever you're making when business is great, put 20% away. So, because a storm is coming. Don't pretend like summer lasts all year long. And that's the mentality, is understanding about preparation and understanding that even when things are bad, you got to think positive. There's nothing that God is going to put you in that's bigger than you. And I've been going through a lot of tough times, unfortunately, and I stay positive. And multiple people often tell me, man, Joe, you're like the most positive person that I know. And I'm like, well, I have no choice, but I know that I've had opportunities in my life where I had my finances taken care of, my housing taken care of, business was good. I had a bunch of barbers working, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to maintain it. I didn't know the responsibility that comes with it. And I was overwhelmed with things, and I made bad decisions with my time, with my thoughts. But I can sit here and dwell on it, or I can say, you know what? The reason I went through that was because I needed to learn my lesson. And a lot of the things that I go through daily, it's like I have to pay this bill and that bill, and I'm working full-time barber and full-time instructor, trying to keep my business going, trying to, market it, and attract more students, because I need more students in order for me to financially grow. And there's nothing wrong with wanting money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have abundance in money, but people equate like, oh, when you have too much money, it's bad. And it's not bad. You just got to know how to handle it. You got to know what to do with it. I know who I want to help. I know what I want to invest my energy and my money into. And that's what I've learned through all the things. I got a house now, I got a mortgage, I got insurance, I got light bill, water bill, my truck messed up, and I've invested a lot of money in my truck. At one point I had like 6-7 vehicles. I sold all my cars. I said, you know what, man, I only need one vehicle. I don't want to have a car payment. I don't want none of that, and I invested all my money in one vehicle. And, not that it's completely bad, but I was having issues with my transmission. I just don't have the time because I'm so dedicated to being at school. I feel like I'm very responsible for these students that are there. And I'm like, hey, man, they rely on me. I got to be there. And today I have to go to the bank and deposit a check. I have to move money. I have to pay off a loan. And I'm only one person, and I try to do as much as I can. So this message for me was powerful because it talks about the way you think. And when God gives you money, right, some of us, we don't know how to handle it, man, because we've been conditioned by social media that I have to drive this and I have to wear that. And I'm not saying you can't have nice stuff, but when that nice stuff makes you who you are, that's when there's a problem. I don't need to most people that know me, I wear regular shirts. I like wearing, some Levi jeans. Like, I like wearing fresh stuff, like that's clean and new, but I don't emphasize the clothes never makes me, man. And I know that you have to carry yourself a specific way. You want to dress nice, and that's okay. But I never want to be in a point in my life where the clothes makes me. Like, without the clothes, I'm still somebody. And without the shoes, the Travis Scotts, the Jordan, the Kobe, whatever it is, I don't, and I'm not against anybody enjoying shoes or clothes or belts or whatever your preference is. But what I'm very clear on is that things do not make me more valuable. I am already worthy, not because of me, but who resides in me. And I tell myself that all the time because there was a point in my life where I felt like I needed to have a $60,000 car. I needed to have a this. I needed to have that in order for me to feel like I'm somebody. I went through that. And that goes back to me growing up in the projects. I didn't understand. I couldn't separate the two. I thought success, you have to smell like it. You have to look like it. You have to embody it. And that's when you start putting 70% of yourself and your image into what you've created and not in the creator. And that's when you're only giving a little bit of your time to God. And you're like, thanks God for this gift. I don't need you no more. I'm good now. I'm going to go live my life and get on boats and fly on planes and impress people. And then you get addicted to that. You get addicted to, whatever it may be. And I'm not saying this happens to everyone. I'm saying that this happens. This happened to me. So it's my experience and my opinion. But this message today was very, very strong for me, talking about being fruitful and multiply. Doesn't mean to go have babies. I know it may mean that in a sense, but to be fruitful and multiply, it's like comparing yourself to an apple. Now, an apple has seeds in the core that can produce more seeds, but you have no idea how many seeds are going to come out of that core and how many apples are going to come from each seed. So one seed can produce 10,000 apples. But you don't know that. Only God knows how many apples are going to be produced by that one seed. So if you're using that as a metaphor, how many seeds are going to come out of me, of the people that I'm planting seeds into? My students, my customers, my friends, people on Facebook, people on Instagram, people on YouTube. That is the message. And we have to think that way. But it also applies in the negative, because you can also be the reason other people have a downfall because you're planting bad seeds in them, bad thoughts in them. You're telling them to go live this life and to embrace this whatever and leading them astray. And now you got blood on your hands. But we don't want to live like that. People don't want to be like, oh, no, I'm not responsible for him. But we all have a responsibility because we're all being held liable by God. And when we take that away and we're like, nah, I'm human, I can make mistakes. Absolutely, you can. But you don't choose the outcome. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Whether you're making money, whether you're struggling right now, you got to maintain your thoughts. You got to maintain your words, and you got to maintain your dignity. I'm not trying to ever get to a point in my life where I'm valuing the money or what the money can do for me more than I'm valuing the people that I love and the people that I'm around. God put me in a place where I'm more secluded than ever, but I have the choice to embrace him and come closer to him, or embrace my television, embrace my phone, embrace my problems, embrace my loneliness, embrace my addictions. And we all have whatever it is, right? Like, I'm speaking in general, but you have that choice, and that's the beauty in it. We all have that choice. We can choose God or we can choose this world, man. And there's another powerful message that God had laid upon me. A lot of us have been taught that there's a right and then there's a wrong, and that's it. And that's not true. The thing is that there is a right and there is a wrong, but then there's also the tree of life, which is God's way. And a lot of us don't want to do things God's way. Just because something is right to do here legally doesn't make it God's way. And because at one time slavery was okay. At one time, killing people was okay. At one time, these things were legally okay, to lynch somebody or whatever it may be, right? And that's what I'm trying to say, is just because something is right doesn't mean that it's good. And because something is wrong doesn't mean that it's, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, if there's two trees, right? There's the tree of good and evil, and there's a tree of life. You need to eat from the tree of life. And that's what the message that God's telling me. That doesn't mean I'm going to be broke. That doesn't mean I'm going to be rich. That doesn't mean anything. All it means is that's where my intentions are coming from. And I try to show those intentions to my friends, whether they're females, whether they're males, whether they're older, whether they're younger. I abide by that. And some people don't believe it. And I understand to a certain extent why, because they've dealt with so many damaged people. When they deal with someone like me, they're like, dude, there's no way. I'm telling you, man, it's a very peculiar feeling when people tell me that. They're like, one person that I won't mention their name. They're a friend. They were a friend. I mean, I don't have no ill will towards them or anything, and we didn't have a fallout like that. But I just don't like mentioning. But the situation was, they told me, when am I gonna meet the real you? And I looked and I was like, what exactly do you mean? And they said, there's no way you can be positive all the time. There's no way you can't get mad. There's no way you don't, react. And I was like, that is a choice that I make daily. I make that choice not to react. I make that choice to be happy. I make that choice to think positive because I've gone down the other road. I used to live in chaos. I used to thrive in chaos. I used to just, whatever I wanted to say and whatever I held in, all the trauma, all the pain, I wanted to unleash it on somebody. And as the saying goes, people that are hurt, they go around hurting other people. But it's the same thing with the seed. They have bad seed, so they're planting more bad seeds. And where I'm at in my life and my purpose on this earth that I feel is that I'm here to break that cycle for my family, for my last name. When you look up my last name, if you go look at criminal records, unfortunately, a lot of my uncles and a lot of my aunts have a really bad history. My father as well. I mean, he passed away, but if you go look at my dad's record, it's not pretty, man. And my dad was never around for me, so I never knew him. I never knew what he was capable of doing. I didn't know, and I don't know his thoughts. I don't know what his experiences were that caused him to think this way and react this way and to whatever he did. I pray for my dad all the time. And even though he's gone, I still pray for him. And I pray for my mom. I pray for my sisters and my brothers. I just know that I'm in a place where I try to do my best for me so I can be my best for other people. People need to see that there's an example. I'm from the hood. I'm from the ghetto. I'm from the projects in the west side of San Antonio. And if I wanted to, I can be out here manipulating women. I can be out here trying to flex. I can be out here trying to buy cars and impress people, get all tatted up and do all these things. Just like a normal stereotype person, I can be that. But for what? Because I know where that leads. I'm not being judgmental towards anybody just because you have tattoos. I have tattoos, but I'm saying to embrace that image and be like, yeah, that's the best that I can be at the pinnacle of my life. I have to look like that. I have to talk like this. I have to be aggressive. No, I'm not doing that. And sometimes I have to tell myself Joe, do the opposite. Because this is what's working right now. This is what's helping people right now. No dignity, no respect, no this. You have to do the opposite, Joe. And I'm like, man, it's hard, God. It's hard being the good guy. It's hard turning the other cheek. It's hard, walking away when somebody tries to disrespect you, when it's been embedded in my brain. If anybody ever disrespects you, you check them right then and there, Joe. And you do this and you do that. I was embedded with that from the projects that I grew up in. And it's just man, I had to unlearn a lot of things. I had to unlearn that. If someone disrespects me, they're not disrespecting me. All they know is to do that. All they want me to react because that's what they want. They want to take out their pain on somebody because they don't know what to do with it. And a lot of men, we don't. We walk around with our chest up and we work out to get strong so we don't look weak. And we do a lot of things to cover up the pain that's within because no one's trying to hear us. Nobody cares if we're hurting. Nobody cares if we're struggling. Nobody cares. The only time a lot of people care for you is when you got a lot of money or you got a lot of power or when you got both. And unfortunately, that's when we feel we're somebody. But I'm not in that position right now. I'm not wealthy right now where I'm able to go to the bank and pull out 100,000 to go do whatever I don't. But I know that I have abundance. I know that I have the $1 million ideas up here. I know God's given me the ingredients. I'm still busy trying to get it cooking. And once I get to that point, I know who I'm going to give a piece of my pie to, who I'm going to give a piece of my cake to once I get it together. The people that are there for me, the people that know me, the people that have supported me, that's who I know that I need to invest my time, my money, my energy into. And even my students, that's why I want to buy a commercial property. My goal is to do that. My goal is to keep my school going and hire instructors and do all that. And I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to help people and do all these things. But it's easy to react. It's easy to choose to hit somebody and take a frustration on somebody. But it takes a strong individual to realize, you know what? I don't want to do that because then my kids are watching. I got something to lose now. I got a house. I got a business. I got a job. I got this. I got that. And it's like it sucks. It really does suck, man. That sometimes it's just like, damn, I don't want to live my life that way. And I just want to tell y'all that hopefully this message reaches the right people. But there's a lot that goes on in this realm that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't want to look inside. We embrace a lot of the cultures. We embrace a lot of the things that are cool right now. And I'm not against spirituality. I'm not against anybody's religion. I'm not against whatever you believe. That's on you, man. I'm not here to condemn anybody, whatever, however you want to live your life. All I'm trying to share people is my experience, what God's doing in my life. And if you believe in God, great. If you believe in whatever, that's okay. I'm not here to force anything on anybody. But I like to share my testimony with people because, like I said, you don't know how many apples are going to come from that one seed. So if I can help one individual out there to change your thoughts and say, you know what, man, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to live a better life. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better person. You have to start up here. And then your heart needs to change because you need to love you first. And not in a narcissistic way. When people tend to think that way, they're like, oh man, you're conceited. And it's like, no, man, I got to protect me because I know where I've been and I know what I've gone through and I know where I want to go. So if you don't protect yourself, if you protect your car, if you protect your house and you protect your this and your business and all that, that's not bigger than you. That's not bigger. All that can be replaced. You cannot be replaced. I always say this, man, and I'm not regurgitating this. You are somebody to somebody. And that means is you yourself are a hero to an individual. You yourself are a father to somebody. You yourself are a mother to somebody. You yourself are a brother, a sister. You're somebody to somebody. You don't have to be somebody to everybody, but you're somebody to somebody. And when you are that, that gives you a reason to keep pushing. That gives me a reason, like when all hell's breaking loose in my life, bro, I just smile and I say, you know what, God? It's all good. I'm learning. I'm conscious now. I'm alert. I can see the light. I can see when there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm like, I'm going to walk through this, whether I'm walking by myself, whether I'm walking with the fam, with whoever. I'm walking and I'm going to get to where I want to be. And I want you to continue walking to get where you need to be. But you have to work on yourself. You have to let go of a lot of the trauma. You have to let go of a lot of the culture that we've been raised in to believe that it's this and that. Like, man, you need to sit down in a quiet room and just ask God why you're here. Why are you still alive? Why do you have this desire? Why do you have these, strengths, your talents, and then why you have these weaknesses? Why you have these other things that are hurting you? And I promise you, man, God will show you through people, through messages, through whatever. But you have to ask for forgiveness, man, and come to God. And, I don't know how or when that moment came in my life. There's one particular moment that I cried out to God when I was homeless, and my friends had kicked me out of their house because they were struggling. And I was sitting on top of a piece of wood, like a little tree that broke down. And it was just, like a summer night. It was probably about, 70 something degrees, and I'm chilling. And then I just cried out to God. It was the first time that I ever like cried out, like tears and everything. And I was like, man, God, like, I don't got nothing left. I don't have a home. I feel lonely. I don't have friends right now. Like, I'm ready to surrender. And it's at those moments where it's like, now I want you, God, because I have nothing left. God's gonna take you as you are. Sometimes we keep thinking, there's a song that my boy Lecrae sings, take me as I am. And it's a great song, but we often think that, nah, man, let me get my sins together. Let me get right. Then I'm gonna come to God, bro. You can't do that. You can't get right without God. You can't get right without God, man. And there's been moments like that in my life. I had to close down my barbershop because I'm like, man, God, you want me to do this school thing? I'll do it, but I need your help. And man, I got a blessing in the mail. I thank God that I got a nice, financial help. And the old me would be like, "Ooh, man, I'm gonna go get this whip. I'm gonna go get that, man." And because my truck's messed up, so I'm like, man, I can go get a new car right now. And then I'm like, Joe, think this money, pay off debts. I'm renewing one of my loans that I'm already done with, and it's a small, like, $15,000 loan, but that's just to have a cushion for my school. That's it. I'm not gonna use it to go get a car and get in more debt. I'm not gonna use it to do anything but catch up on my bills and be like, all right, man, cool. Now I have cushion again. Now I'm gonna build up again and get more cushion. In my life, man, I've been able to have a good amount of money. I've made great money. And I've lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of money due to COVID. And man, it really hurt my business tremendously. That's why I sold all my cars. And I was like, look, man, all these cars that I invested money into, they came into play. The market was good, so I made money. But it's just like, I grew up without a car, man. I grew up on the bus for a long time. And that's, even with shoes, I was addicted to buying shoes ever since I was little, because they used to make fun of me when I was poor. And I used to go to the flea market. I used to go to like the Goodwill and buy like beat up Nikes and sew them back together and paint them and make them look new, like to the best of my ability, try to make them look new. But that was something that I had to overcome. And now I have a lot of shoes, but I give a lot of shoes away. And I'm just like, the shoes don't make me, man. And sometimes I wear the same shoe and people are like, oh man, you can't be wearing those kind of shoes, Joe. Those are expensive. And I'm like, bro, they're just shoes. Like, do I take care of them? Absolutely. But, oh, you can't wear those Travis Scotts every day, bro. And I'm like, bro, I got a bunch of different shoes in my closet. And, but it just comes to show like what people value and what people, and it's just, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just a train of thought. If you believe this, then you're going to act this way. And it is crazy. But I'm just grateful that I'm in the position that I'm in right now, where I'm emotionally more in control of myself. I can talk about death. I can talk about failure. I can talk about past relationships. I can talk about my current situation. I can talk about where I want to be in the future without attaching emotion to it. And that's one of the strengths that I have. Growing up, I was very emotional. I always felt like I wasn't loved enough. I wasn't hugged enough. I was like, I had to be this tough guy and this knucklehead, when deep inside of me, I wanted to be a smart individual. I wanted to be a person of intellect. I wanted to be someone that was looked at like, man, that's a smart guy right there. I've always wanted to be that. I had a desire. I'd rather be the nerd and know everything that I could than be the, back in the day, I know I'm aging a little bit, but I was, the pretty boy type, the dressing polo and stuff like that. Like, to the best of my ability, I'm telling you, I used to buy this stuff at the, Goodwill and at the flea market, or I would borrow clothes from my friends. A lot of my friends used to, man, my friends were good to me because I would cut their hair. So I would use their Tommy Hilfiger, polo, all that, man. So I wanted that to be like who I was. But the opposite was what I really wanted, is to be the smart kid. And I wanted to learn math. I wanted to learn science. I wanted to learn history. I wanted to be a part of that, but I felt like that wasn't in my reality at that moment. But the friends that I had when I was like at my middle school, we had a bilingual program. So majority of the friends that I had were part of that bilingual program. And I was just like, man, I wish I had that opportunity. I wish I could be like them. So I wasn't, but then I, got into fights and had, a lot of little girlfriends and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, just middle school stuff. Not like the way it is now. So it's just like that, man. I guess when I think back, I'm just like, I've overcome a lot of things to be where I'm at now. And the journey itself has been great. I've been able to accomplish a lot of great things in my field. I explain that to a lot of people when I talk about my story. I've been able to, man, I've traveled to most of the major cities in America, most of the big cities all over, almost every state I've been to, which is crazy to say, but it's true. I've been to, I would say, man, at least 40 of the states I've been in America. Whether I flew there, drove through there, or whatever, I've been to a lot of states, and it's crazy to say that because I always think back and I'm like, man, I'm just a kid from the barrio, from the West Side. When I was young, I didn't know that the world existed and that it was a physical thing that I can accomplish. The first time I flew in a plane was to get to Dallas, and it was like a 30-minute, maybe 40-minute flight, from gate to gate. And I was just like, I had my little Game Boy. It's a long time ago, man. But I never imagined myself getting on a plane when I was young because I thought everybody lived, because there's so many projects in San Antonio at the time. You had the Alazan Courts, you had the Casiano homes, you had the Vida Mendez, you had, there is San Juan, Casiano, I don't even know, I'm trying to think of all of them off the top of my head. But there was so many, and I was like, oh, this is normal. Like everybody lives like this. Like I knew houses existed, but I always thought it was like, oh, teachers live in those houses, or people that work for the government, or somebody that had really good jobs lived in houses, and the rest of us, we just lived in the projects. That's how my brain worked as a kid until I was adopted. And because I was adopted, that changed so much in my life. The trajectory in my life changed dramatically for myself and my children because I was able to witness the other end of the spectrum. I went from living in the projects to living in a nice home in Alamo Heights, where there was a healthy relationship, where there was, just everybody had green grass, everybody had a nice fence, everybody had golden retrievers and Great Danes and all these animals. I'm like, man, like this is nice. But the inside of me, when my adopted parents would buy me nice clothes, it's crazy. I would want to go back and show off with my friends, like, hey man, I got these Guess jeans, I got the Jabos, I got all this, whatever. And I wanted to like show them, like, look, man, like I'm wearing this. Man, as soon as I put that clothes outside to dry, somebody snatched my clothes. Because we didn't have a dryer, man. We had an old school washer that you had to like manually wash your clothes, and then we would hang the clothes outside for it to dry, and somebody snatched up my stuff. But anyway, that just comes to show, man, that the way God works, like planting seeds, man, you're constantly planting seeds. Whether it's the way you live your life, whether it's the way you speak, whether what it is that you're putting out to people, the version that they get to see of you, whether you're in a time of need, whether you're in a time, all that stuff, man, you're constantly showing people who you are, and there's different versions of you. And that's why I make the conscious effort every day to be the best version of myself and disconnect from my emotions, whether I'm feeling sad, happy, all that. Like, I don't let that happen. Before I used to, it's like I had a controller, like a PlayStation controller that controlled me. And I would give that to people and tell them, like, make me feel a certain way. And they would do it. And I would get mad, or I would get sad, or I get frustrated. And I had no control over myself. Now I don't surrender my PlayStation controller to no, but I'm like, nah, bro, you ain't doing that. And if they, oh man, F this and F that and da, 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 I'm like, okay, you're upset right now. That's okay. I'm not gonna react to you right now. And I'm able in a relationship, if I was in a relationship and my partner, is having a bad day and they want to lash out at me, I'm gonna be like, time out. You need to go take a chill session and wait, think about this, process this. And it's hard to say that to somebody that's not emotionally mature, but you have to kind of like guide them and tell them, when you date somebody, man, you have to make it very clear. Like, listen, I don't like confrontation. Doesn't mean that I'm scared. Doesn't mean that I'm weak. Doesn't mean that I'm going to let you run all over me. But look, when you're upset, please just know this is my boundary. I don't like to argue. I can communicate with you. I can listen and I can speak, but I'm not going to try to one up you and treat you a certain way. Like, nah, man, we ain't doing that. And some people are so accustomed to the chaos, so accustomed to that they don't want to let it go because that's normal to them. And that's why it's so hard when you're in a relationship, because we often say, which is when I say we, I mean me right now. I often say, like, I'm not here to fix anybody. I am not here to fix anybody. Now, I can help you. I can guide you, but I'm not here to fix you. It's like there's a lady that said, she said, I can teach you, but I can't make you understand. And when I read it, I laughed because I was like, damn, that was me when I was not, I was not alert. I wasn't, aware, basically. But now it's my turn. It's my job. It's my duty to try to help people with themselves. Being an instructor at my school really has been teaching me how to become a better leader. And it's a challenge. I try to replace the word hard with challenge. Like, man, it's hard to do. No, it's a challenge that I have to overcome. It's a challenge that I'm learning. It's a challenge that I'm, figuring out as I go. Because I'm only one person. I have to go to the bank right now after I'm done with this video. Go to the bank, do this. Go to my other bank, do that. La la la, sign papers, all this stuff. Then I gotta haul butt to school. I got to teach all day today and teach my students about hair cutting, teach them about whatever. We're on chapter 14, hairstyles on the My Lady Barber book. But it's like I already know what I'm bringing, to the class. And sometimes my students are not there. Sometimes they have things. So that's a different story. But it's just like I really want people to hear the message today. To take from all this, if you're watching the whole video, it's like you have to understand that in life, we all have choice, but we don't always choose the outcome. And just because you put your heart and soul into something and it falls apart, doesn't mean you wasted time. It doesn't mean that it wasn't worth it. It doesn't mean that, it wasn't for you. I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears into my barbershop, but that didn't define who I was. My barbershop and me being an owner doesn't define me. It doesn't make me better. Like, oh man, because I have that, I'm a better guy than the next guy. No, it's not. It's actually the opposite. It means that I'm more stressed out than the regular guy, because I often think like, man, if I was just a barber, if I was just cutting hair, my life would be so much easier. But that's me reverting back to, I want to be comfortable. I have to get used to, and you have to get used to being uncomfortable, because when you're in that state of being uncomfortable, you're growing, you're learning, you're adapting, you're becoming what you need to become, and it's uncomfortable. And man, there's an album that my boy Andy Mineo did, and it's called Uncomfortable, and you got to learn how to, listen to the album. That's a great album, but you have to learn how to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's what I'm going through, because when my car messed up, I just called my son. Hey, let me use my son. He's a mini version of me, because he had like 5-6 cars right now. So I told him, hey man, I don't want to drive, the sports car. Just give me because he has a Corvette and a Porsche and a Mustang, turbocharged and all this. Like, look, let me get the Excursion for right now. And, let me use that. It's a gas guzzler, but I enjoy driving the Excursion, and it's a 2000 something. It's an older vehicle, but has 140,000 miles on it. It's very low. He doesn't drive it too much. I sold my Excursion, because I invested in my school, and I had a cushion, and I just like got rid of I had a Suburban I had a Excursion. I had two 1990 dualies that I sold. They're like, one was a 90 and the other one was like an 88. I sold both of them. Wonderful trucks, bought them from the original owners. They were really nice. One of them had airbags and all that. Sold those. And also, prior to that, I had some other vehicles. I had a GT500 Shelby, a 65 Lincoln Continental, and I've had multiple. And I sold one of my Suburban. I sold to my son, and he has that. And I had a Honda Civic that I had and I fixed, and new motor and new transmission, all that. Sold that to my other son. But anyway, I don't want to lose track here. I want people to know that beyond being a barber, beyond being creative, beyond being like emphatic on becoming successful, beyond all that, just know that life is a journey. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Grow, evolve, embrace, and let go of the past. Let go of yesterday. Let go of last month. Let go of last year. Envision yourself daily to where you want to be. If you want to be a millionaire, it's okay. I want to be a millionaire, and I'm going to be a millionaire. I am a millionaire already, so I have to act accordingly. So I want you to act accordingly. If you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be a successful basketball player, if you're going to be a professional, whatever it is that you want to be, act accordingly. Already embrace that. Embrace that. But know that when the money comes, and when it comes with the good and the bad, you better be ready. And I always teach that. What are the pros and the cons when this does happen? Because sometimes, like I said earlier in the video, we embrace the positive. So when things are going well, just remember the rain's coming, and you can embrace this and be like, everything's going to work well. And then you don't prepare for when, if there's 7 years of really good, but be ready for 7 years of tribulation. It's like that. But that doesn't mean because you're preparing, you're being a negative person. That just means like, hey, I know life. I know how life works. I remember when I was struggling month to month. I remember when I got behind on my rent. I remember when I didn't make that payment on my credit card. I remember when I didn't have enough to eat. I remember like these things. That doesn't mean that, oh, you're not being positive. You're not trusting God. No, it's not that. It's not. All it means is that I have enough experience I'm not going to be a fool and be like, oh man, everything's good and everything's going to stay good no. You can think that and be positive, which is great. In any circumstance, be positive, but don't be a fool. Don't think that it's not going to rain. That's like, oh, well, I'm not going to carry my umbrella because it's never going to rain. Why buy an umbrella? It's never going to. No, it's going to rain eventually. And I'm hoping that it rains in San Antonio because it's been hot like a mug. But regardless of that, man, I'm just being real. And whoever's listening to this message, it found you for a reason. And God allowed me to go through what I needed to go through. And God's going to allow you to go through. But regardless of what you're going through, it's never bigger than you. Whether you get $1 million or whether you only get $50 or whether your problems or whether you're sick or whatever's going on in your family, it's never bigger than you. It's never bigger than you. I don't care on the good or the bad, And a lot of times that's what hurts us the most is because we focus on that one thing that we did and we can't let it go and we don't forgive ourselves. And sometimes that's the fuel that we use to become great. We do. We use that as fuel to, man, because of that, I got to be the best barber. I got to be the best basketball player. And you drive yourself crazy and you're just constantly doing it. And it's like, you're a great this, but you're a bad father. You're a great barber, but you're a bad husband. You're a great barber, but you're a bad friend. You're a great barber, but you're whatever. You're lacking in this area. And it's like, damn. And you have to be okay with whatever it is that you choose. That's why it's mandatory that you are real with yourself. I'm telling you, you have to be real with yourself because just know when you dedicate your whatever it is that you have to have your priority. I'm not going to neglect my family. I'm not going to neglect my wife. I'm not going to neglect whatever it is. You better have it in order because sometimes you're going to neglect friends. You're going to neglect this and that. And they have to understand. You have to be real with people and say, look, man, I love you. I love spending time with you right now for the next 6 months. I'm grinding, bro. So if I don't answer your call or if I don't get back to you, just know that I love you, but I'm doing this, man. And if you can understand that, I really appreciate it. That's why it's imperative that you're in tune with your words, you're in tune with your intentions, you're in tune with your thoughts. Because I'm telling you, man, some people, they need people like us. They need people like you. They need people like me that can convey the message and be like, you know what, man, with no emotion attached to it. It's like, look, these things happen, bro. And I want you to know that you're able to get through it. You're able to do this. You're able to do that. And I'm just giving you options. I'm giving you scenarios. I'm just giving you, what's happened to me. And if you can do that, I promise you, man, God's going to bless you and the right people will cross your path. And I always feel, me personally, doesn't have to reflect on anybody else. Me personally, people cross my path for a reason, because people need someone like me. At one point in my life, I was like, man, God, why do, like when I had my barbershop, I was getting the same person repackaged. And what I mean by that is, like, I would get damaged people. Like, I'm like, God, why can't I just get one barber that has his stuff together, that has, respect, that has dignity, that is a hard worker, and that's a great barber. And like, I was asking for something that was almost impossible to get. I felt like, I was like, man, because I grew up in that environment where I work alongside 6 or 7 other barbers, and we would get to work on time. We would leave late. We would take care of our family. We made money. We looked out for each other. Hey, you need this? I'll go clean your station. I'll help you. What you need? Like, we like brothers, man. I like loving brothers. Did we hate each other at times? Sometimes, man, because of football, basketball, whatever. We were young, but I got love for all the guys that I grew up with in the barbershop. And I wanted to replicate that. And I kept asking God, like, man, that's what I want, God. I want to have a solid team. And I was not a solid leader at the time. I wasn't ready. And that's the problem that I tell myself. But God, I felt like God was sending me a lot of people that were damaged. And I was getting tired of that. I was like, God, why are you sending me all these damaged people? And in reality, they were a reflection of me. I was looking at them where I was lacking, and it would bother me because I'm like, why? I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but they were still going through phases in their life and they were not ready yet. And I was not able to reach them and teach them and show them. So, and it's not to say that it's my responsibility, but at the time I felt like, man, God was preparing me. And then that's when I said, you know what, instead of critiquing these barbers, I'm going to open a school and help the next generation of barbers become better. But that at the same time, it never crossed my mind that, hey, Joe, you're going to start from square one and how to be an instructor. And in my mind, I'm very positive and thinking like, oh, yeah, I'll be able to, man, the stages that I'm going through being an instructor. Woo. So I'm learning. I'm still, people that I've talked to, it's easy to teach a class that's 2 hours. It's hard to teach a class that's 1 year. You know what I mean? Because you have to engage with the students. You have to motivate them. And then when we start using a lot of the, what I would feel that people is, what's trending right now is, well, I'm not here to fix nobody. Well, I'm not here, walk away and draw this. I'm like, a lot of the stuff that the quotes that are being thrown around right now, I'm just like, yeah, those things don't apply, because these people that are coming to me, they have a desire, but they don't think like it's going to take this much time and this much effort and this much dedication. They don't think like that. Not all of them have the same characteristics, but it's one of those things where I'm like, look, man, we're both learning, we're both growing, and God's not going to give me more than I can handle. So right now I got 9 students. I want 20, but then it's like, Joe, can you handle 20 realistically? Like, you're thinking 20 for the money because you want to have that cushion so you don't have to cut as much hair. But then when you have 20 students and it's only one instructor, it's rough. So now I'm just like, all right, God, I know I can't do it by myself. Can you send me some people to help me? I need 2 instructors to help me grow. I need another instructor for sure to help me run the school and hold myself accountable to what I need to do financially. But I need to buy back some of my time, because I'm not doing things that make Joe happy. I'm not doing artwork. I'm not exercising. I'm not playing basketball. I'm not doing those things that bring me joy. What I'm doing is what's necessary. And when you're living your life like that, it becomes a burden, because you're like, wait a minute, man, I can't just be living my life for everybody else. So lately I've been hanging out with friends. I've been getting out of my house. I've gone to the movies. I've gone to eat dinner. Man, I've gone to eat dinner by myself. I need to get out of the house sometimes and break my routine, because then your body becomes so familiar with, you already know what time you're going to wake up, what route you're taking to work, what time you got to get there, what you got to do. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. You get comfortable with a routine, and when it changes, your body freaks out. And it's sometimes you got to take the long road, to get to work. Sometimes you got to change your routine because it becomes too familiar, and that's all you know. And that's another message that we can discuss later on. But either way, man, this is the end of the video, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to be in the position that I'm in, regardless of the situation, regardless of what I have to take care of with my finances, time, energy, all that stuff. I'm very blessed, and I want you to be blessed in your life. And I really want to pray for anyone that watches this video, that God protects you, that God covers your mind, your family, your talent, your gifts, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether you're in school, whether you're a barber, whether you're, just an employee, whatever it is that your heart desires. I pray that it's a fruitful intention. I pray that it's going to benefit your family financially, spiritually. I pray that, because we need money. I don't love money. Money's not even real. I know how money works. But the fact is that it's a tool that we need in order for us to exchange to get what we want. And everybody wins when that happens. If I have enough money to take my family out, I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean. I enjoy a good time with my family. I pay the person that has a job being a server. They do a great job. I'm able to pay them. I'm able to pay the establishment. I'm able to pay the cooks that make the food. I'm able to pay the people that clean it up. It's a win-win. And that's what I'm after. I'm after that. Then I can help more people and bless more people. Sometimes I have the money to bless somebody with a 20, a 50, or 100, just because I feel like God called me to do that. And I do it. I don't always have it, but man, believe me, people have done that for me. People have tipped me $50, $100. I've had people that tip me $1,000. And it's not in a bragging sense. It's just like knowing that it's a possibility to be able to be in a position where you can do that for somebody, and at the right time when something needs to get paid or something got broke, and you're just like, you know what, God, thank you. Thank you, because God knew I needed that money. It wasn't to go flex on nobody. It wasn't to go cop something that we didn't need, but you can, but I don't want people to do that. If you can stash that money, and then you know what, someone's going to come and say, you know what, this is going on in my life. I'll say, man, you know what? I just got $1,000 that I didn't expect. And if you need help, I can help you. And that's the thing. People are like, help? You can help me? And they're not used to that. And it's like, there's something wrong with you. There's no way you're this nice. There's no way you're always, happy. And it's like, man, I've learned to be happy with nothing. So when when things do come that are like great, or whatever other people may see as like, oh man, you heard about Joe, he's doing this and doing that. It's like, bro, I'm still the same guy. I'm still the same person, and I'm still going to continue to live my life that way. My bank account doesn't define who I am. My businesses don't define who I am. My customers don't define who I am. My house, my car, I enjoy those things, and I'm grateful for them. But they do not define who I am. Whether I have this house or whether I'm homeless, I'm still the same person in here. And that's what we need to embrace. Not in a narcissistic way, but just know that God created you with a purpose. God created you for a reason. And when you embrace that, I promise you, your life will change. Your thoughts will change. Your demeanor will change, and not only for yourself, but those that come after you. And that's what my legacy is. That's what I want my legacy to be. That I don't want people to be like, I don't want people to be like, oh, Joe Barber, he was like a good barber. That's it. Like, no, that's just one of the things that I was able to do. That's one of the things that I'm good at. I have many skills, many talents, but this is where I thrive. And at one point, this is what made me the happiest. Doing designs and doing all that made me happy. And it got to a point where it didn't make me happy because, I felt like somebody stole my identity. I felt like somebody saw what I was doing, so they started doing it. And then I felt bitter about it. But it did make me better because I was like, man, I got to step up my game. But then it got to a point where no longer was I doing it for the joy of doing it. I was doing it because now I'm competing with somebody, and I'm, and the next thing you know, there's 5, 10. Now there's a bunch of people all over the world that do it. And now I can say like, well, I was one of the first to do it. I was one of the first to get it going. And it's great. It's a great feeling, but that does not define me. That my skills do not define me. They're great to have, even if you're an athlete and you're great at it, man. But then what? When you retire, then what's left? And it's the same thing with looks. Like you can look good and be in shape, and then what? So that's the question. Then what? How are you using that? How is it beneficial to us, to the family? How is it beneficial to the people you love? How is it beneficial to the people you care about? How can you use that? And so you look at people that have used that. They used football. They used basketball for the glory of God. They didn't let basketball use them. They didn't let the circumstances use them. It's like, well, now I'm somebody. Now that I'm in the NBA, or now that I got money, no, you were always somebody. You were always somebody. And unfortunately, we've been raised in that. So that's why we're consumers. A lot of us, we buy stuff we don't need. And we think that by having that, oh man, we're ahead of the pack. Oh, I got the new kicks. I got the new phone. I got the new blah, blah, blah. I got the newest car. And now I'm somebody. And it's like, no, you're not. You've always been somebody. You've always been somebody. But either way, man, I'm just grateful for myself. So I'm going to end the video now because I got to go on. I'm probably going to be late to the bank. But I felt like I needed to have this moment. And it's rare that I ever have moments like this in the morning. So I don't think it's, coincidence. I think that this needed to be said. And I'm grateful for it. So I'm going to get my morning going, go get my gas, go to the bank and do what I got to do and get back to work. And I'm just grateful. And if you watch this whole video, thank you so much, man. Y'all stay blessed.